Hi, everyone. So Ilene Rein is the managing partner and executive recruiter at Marketing and Sales Resources and Job Search Strategies, and founder of the foolproof job getting career building system, Pounding Pavement 101. She teaches job seekers exactly how to market themselves with laser precision to employers using inside secrets from the view of the recruiter, exponentially increasing their chances of getting noticed and hired rapidly. So now, Ilene, I leave it to you. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for those who found the link and you were able to make it here. I'm so thrilled that you're here. This was a requested presentation because what I find is that most job seekers are struggling in their job search because they don't have a plan. So I've put together this presentation to help you. You can scan me for all my contact information and also this presentation as well as my YouTube channel, which will offer additional tips and tricks for you. So hopefully my technology is going to work well today. So first, I'm going to make this bold statement. I am going to completely change everything you thought about the job market and how to approach it. I'm going to take you behind those scenes so this way you see how I operate as a recruiter, because I am an executive recruiter and I'm doing this every day. So let me ask you, is this you? Are you sending out your resume and you're not getting any calls? Are you going on interviews, but you're not receiving the offers? And at this point, are you completely baffled as to how anyone gets hired? And how do you approach the job market searching for jobs? I will tell you, you are not alone in any of this. And you're not quite sure who to believe because you ask your friends, you ask colleagues, you ask career service centers, and everyone's giving you a different opinion on how to do it, how to address the ATS system, how to address the algorithms. And really, at the end of the day, take all that advice and push it aside, because who are you really going to believe? So let me tell you a little bit about myself. So this way you know about me. I am an executive recruiter. I have been doing this for over 13 years. I'm also a job search strategist and the creator of Pounding Pavement 101, because I heard so many people were struggling and it's not that difficult, but I'm showing you the inside secrets from the view of the recruiter, exactly how I search, exactly what I'm listening for during responses and interviews, and where I'm looking for candidates. So this way you can put yourself in front of me. You can scan that QR code. That will take you directly to my LinkedIn profile. So this way you can connect with me and that begins the networking. And then you are open up to my network. Before this, I was a corporate trainer, creative director, marketing director, and an information graphics designer. So I have that corporate background, but then I applied it to the recruitment world. I'm also involved in FIRST Robotics as a mentor, judge, and a conference presenter. And unfortunately, that's how I got COVID, probably being at the World Championships in Houston speaking, and with 50,000 of my best friends. But I'm feeling much better now. Anyway, when I became a recruiter about 13 years ago, and I was always in charge of hiring my teams, and I saw behind the curtains as to how the recruiters were operating, said, I wish I knew all this then, what I know now would have made my job searches easier. And when I saw behind those curtains, it's almost like the recruiters are keeping these things secret, like close to their chest, like magician's tricks. And I wanted to share this information with job seekers so this way you can become hired. So I want you to think back when you were in school. And everyone asked this question, what's going to be on the test? What should I study? You would ask the teacher, right? You wouldn't ask the superintendent of the schools that approves curriculum or the board of ed. No, you ask the teacher who wrote the test. Well, I'm the recruiter. I look at about 500 resumes a day. I'm the recruiter who's going to be interviewing you again and again and again. So really, don't you want to ask me what I'm looking for? This is that firsthand knowledge that will help you to become employed. Here's the reality. When you go to career centers, these people have been hired to work in career centers, but the majority of them have never worked a recruiting desk. So they're being told to tell them this is the basic information, and set them up and then send them on their way. And it's a one-size-fits-all approach. It's very generic, and it's not based on how recruiters search. They don't understand underneath the engine, underneath the hood, as to what the recruiters are looking at. And trust me, looking at 500 resumes a day, I've got bifocal contacts in. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've seen your competition, and I've listened to them. And what we're trying to do is make you to rise above, to become that candidate of choice. Now, let me explain to you a little bit about recruiters. Now, recruiters, although they're representing you in the final rounds, in the stages, they're still hired by the companies. So their goal is to make a placement, because as a recruiter, I don't get paid unless I make a placement. So I'm doing everything I can to put this deal together. So you kind of need to trust your recruiter with a grain of salt and build that relationship with them. So this way you understand really what's going on. You have to also realize that as a recruiter, I might have 50 requisites on my desk on any given day. I'm playing a matching game. So I personally don't care about you. Well, I do care about you, okay? But you understand it's a piece of paper to me. You need to connect those dots for me. It's not my job to grow your career. It's my job to make placements. And if you think about it in terms of that, then you'll really have a better understanding of how you can help yourself. And that's really the goal here. So job searching is a marketing project. That's why my program's working so well. It's because I was a marketing director, and it's marketing you to employers the same way that we market a product to the marketplace. It's just that you happen to be the widget in this case. And it's no different. I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. If you've ever watched Shark Tank before, really what we're trying to do, on Shark Tank, they're pitching to an investor to give them a boatload of money to grow their business. Well, it's the same thing. You're marketing yourself to an employer to pay you a salary to do a job. So really, you need to do that role reversal. And if you were the hiring manager, would you hire you? Take a look at that resume. Would you call you? Take a look at your interview. Would you hire you based on what you've presented? And if the answer is no, then we've got work to do. If the answer is yes, then we really need to push even harder to make this happen faster and to land the dream job, because I don't want you to get any job, because these are building blocks. I'm not only looking for the job that you get today, but it's a building block for the next job and the next job and the job after that. So I have a saying, Palace, people are lazy and silly. It's not nice to say stupid. And the reason why I say this is, again, as a recruiter, I have 50 requisites on my desk. And to me, right now, you're a piece of paper. So what I'm trying to do is connect those dots. You need to connect the dots for the recruiter. Okay, because again, they're looking at 500 resumes a day. If you're not telling them what you're looking for, then they're not going to connect those dots for you. Oh, I see someone trying to be admitted, so I'm going to kind of admit them. And let's get back to it. So let's talk about the 3 steps for any job search. Number 1, we know this. You need a resume, but you need a resume based on how recruiters operate, based on how they search. Part 2 of any job search is you need to prepare for that interview. And you need to prepare not based on the generic advice that's out there. You can go watch YouTube channels all day. But what are the recruiters actually listening for? Please don't go in cold to an interview. Most people do, and then they don't get the job, and then they wonder why. But part three, and this is what everyone forgets, you need a strategic plan as you're attacking the job search market. That's what everyone's missing. It's really the chemical reaction between these three steps. That's what's turbocharging my clients' job searches. I'm getting people hired on average 42 days after they've been searching over a year on their own, because I'm teaching them how to create immense amounts of visibility, where to find those hidden jobs, and then how to streamline the application process so the whole thing goes faster. And it's the chemical reaction that's working. Now, what's interesting is you need to think about this because it's really the three steps combined. Because your resume's job is to generate calls. If your resume is not set up properly based on how recruiters search, you don't get calls, you don't get interviews. It doesn't matter how many times you apply for your strategic plan, you're not getting anywhere. It's the same thing. Okay, now if you have a great resume and you get a call, but you don't know how to talk based on how recruiters are operating and what they're listening for, then you're going to fall flat. And if you have a great resume, you know how to interview, but you don't know how to take it out for a drive, then you're not going anywhere. And I go back, it's the chemical reaction between the three steps. That's what's getting people hired. So let's go over step number one. Number one is you need to develop a resume based on how recruiters search. That's what's different. That's what's getting my clients calls, because the goal of the resume is to generate the call. The goal is to grab the attention of the recruiter, make them pick up a phone, okay, and call you. And really, your resume is just a document about you. I always look at it as it's like a term paper. And the thesis statement up top, your objective is hire me for this position. And everything below should support that thesis statement. And people sometimes will ask me about layouts and what should it really look like. There's no right or wrong. But it's how you present that information, how you tell the story. And it's really everything that's combined. So it's not only about the action verb words. It's not only about the layout. It's not only about the content. It's a combination and how you're telling your story in order to grab that recruiter's attention. Part two is that interview preparation. The goal here is you need to be walking in with confidence. What does that mean? You need to be fully prepared, because the reality is 75% of all interview questions globally, I was speaking with someone in Belarus last week, they're all the same. So if that's the case, I want you to think just like in school, okay? And you did the reading the night before, you walked in Monday morning and there's a pop test. You went, oh, okay, no problem. I've got this. I studied last night. But if you didn't do the reading the night before and you walk in and there's a pop test, you get that sinking feeling in your stomach. And we've all been there. Well, this is the same thing. If you know 75% of these questions are going to be asked, then have an answer ahead of time, prepared. So when you walk in, say, oh, question number 22, here's the answer. But you need to present it based on what the recruiters are actually listening for in your responses. That's what's a little bit different. Let's talk about step three, because this is the one that everyone seems to forget about. The goal here is to get hired. You need that strategic plan as you're attacking the job market. Remember, this is a marketing project. So if you remove yourself from it and you say, okay, this is a project. If you were working on a project, and we've all worked on projects before, if you set out a plan, then you will succeed. It's that simple. Yes, we all heard about networking. You need to build those relationships, not only for today. It takes time to build relationships, because the reality is people do business with people, not businesses. They hire people that they want on their teams. They hire people they want to go to lunch with. And I want you to think about, I always go back to the book, Everything I Ever Learned, I Learned in Kindergarten. And I want you to think back when you were choosing kickball teams. Did you choose your best friend or did you choose the best kicker? Maybe you chose the best kicker first, but I guarantee your best friend came second. People hire people they want to go to lunch with, build those relationships. And this is something everyone forgets. Build a relationship with your recruiter, because let me tell you, the first thing that happens when you lose your job, you get laid off, or you're searching for a new position, you're trying to get recruiters on the phone. If you already have a relationship with that recruiter and someone calls you and you call a recruiter, do you think they're going to pick up the phone right away? Yeah, definitely, because I have a relationship with that person. Someone will call, Ryan will call me. I get on the phone immediately. Hey, great to hear from you. You build those relationships as you go. Because also, if I see something that comes across my desk and I say, Ryan would be perfect for that, I'm going to put a call into him. Yes, I'm looking out for his best interests and his career moving forward. This elevator pitch, it's one of those tell me about yourself, elevator pitch. Let's just take those terms out of it. Just hit the highlights. I want you to think of like you're at a cocktail party and someone says, what do? You don't go into a 15-minute dissertation. You just give them the highlights. You need to be able to talk about yourself. And if you don't know how to do that, then let's work on that together. So this way you're prepared when you go to the next cocktail party or the next ICF event. You need to continuously be learning. Things are changing at such a rapidly fast pace right now. You need to constantly be staying current. Okay. Now, you want to go for those additional certifications, those additional degrees. It may not make you any smarter, but it levels the playing field when there's two candidates up for a similar position, especially as you get into those higher level positions. And a check mark goes into one person's column and maybe not to the other. So again, the goal here is to level that playing field and continuously be learning. Again, things change. That's why the information in this program has been so effective, is because I'm still recruiting full-time. So I'm seeing and giving you firsthand knowledge. You need to be a community player. This will help you not only build valuable skills, this will help you meet people, and that dreaded word of networking. I just gave a presentation, networking for introverts. I wish we could just take that networking word and throw it out. It's just meeting people and talking to people. But in being involved in your community, yes, this is extremely important because it shows an employer the character of the person. It also may connect you that maybe you're part of the same organization. It's all intertwined. You need to mentor as well as be mentored. People have knowledge. We all have a piece of that pie, and you bring it together in order for all of us to achieve our goals. I have a business manager, and then I mentor many job seekers. It all comes around, and especially with ICF, certainly you have an understanding of that. Coaches, you probably have your own coach, and then you're coaching your clients. That resume needs to be updated at all times. You need to document what you've been working on because you're going to forget. It's that simple. And you never know when you're going to run into someone and they say, hey, send me your resume. And now all of a sudden you've got to think back and you're scrambling to get it done and it's not done quite right. I will tell you, please, please, please do not use a resume writer. I know it sounds kind of strange coming from me, right? A resume writer probably took a course one weekend and now they're quote unquote certified. But again, they don't have an understanding of that recruitment process and how the recruiters are operating in order to really get you to rise above to become that candidate of choice so you get that call. The reality is, you know your background better than anyone. You just need someone to show you how to set it up, to generate activity. And that digital presence is so incredibly important. First of all, I tell everyone, clean up your social media accounts. We should know better by now. Pull off things that are not serving you well. Put it in the archives on your hard drive. Okay, you need to have that LinkedIn profile really showcasing your credibility and building your credibility. Because if there's two people that are up for a job, be it, to be hired as a client, as a coach, or you're applying to an employer, you need to build that credibility and showcase yourself and build that personal brand. Those recommendations are read and people are noticing. And at the end of the day, invest in yourself. You know this. It could make or break the difference of you getting that job that you really want. I don't want you to get just a job. I want you to get the dream job. That's the goal. You want to increase your chances. You want to give yourself the best chance of getting the job that you want. So let's review. Number one, you need to develop a resume based on how recruiters search. And that's a little bit different. And I want you to look at that resume, fold your name over and look at what you have there and ask yourself, would you hire you? If the answer is no, grab time on my calendar. We can fix that. Part two is that interview preparation piece. I want you to prepare. Again, 75% of all questions are the same. If that's the case, prepare ahead of time. It'll reduce anxiety and you'll walk in confident with a swagger. And part three, develop that strategic plan, how to create immense amounts of visibility, where to find those hidden jobs. They're not on Indeed. Personally, I'm on a mission to get rid of Indeed right now. Many, many scammers on there. And I've done a couple of videos on my YouTube channel about that. So please check that out. And then how to make this whole process go faster. And it's the combination of the three. That's what's turbocharging job searches. So I will leave you with my information. You can scan and have all my contact information. You can grab time on my calendar and you can learn more about the program Pounding Pavement 101. That's getting people hired on average 42 days after they've been searching over a year on their own. I'd like to open it up for any questions. If anyone has anything they'd like to ask direct.
I have a question, Ilene. Resumes. Yesterday I was with colleagues, and the big discussion is some people say you should have your resume in 1, maximum 2 pages. Some of the people say, no, it's 5 pages. And there is always this discussion. So what is too much in a resume? What is not? Because we want the recruiter to read, right?
Well, some people are saying, it has to be 1 page. No, it doesn't have to be 1 page because the reality is I never print resumes anymore. So what difference does it make if I'm scrolling 1 page or 2 pages or 5 pages? Now, for my younger professionals, I'm going to use diplomatic terms, my younger professionals, maybe 2 is a maximum page, maximum length. The college career centers are saying 1 page. The reason being is that they have a one-size-fits-all approach. They have a book of resumes. They have to treat every student equally. And when companies come in, they want to be able to flip through that book quickly. However, 1 page, based on what everyone does nowadays and how involved with everything that we are, it may just not tell the whole story. But you do want that information above the fold, because think about it. If you're reading a page, forget the word resume, you're reading a page and you read line number 1. If line number 1 doesn't attract your attention, do you read line number 2? You're certainly not going to read line number 5. So it's how you present that information. Again, the resume's goal is to generate the call. Now, in terms of 5 pages, my senior professionals, well, yeah, you may be that fantastic, but again, it's how you present that information. And if they're not reading page 1, they're certainly not reading page 5. Okay. And usually my tech resumes will go on about 4 pages just because there's so much technology information that's going in there. But I don't think anyone needs a 5-page resume. No one is going to read it. The goal of the resume is to generate the call. And then you can talk to your heart's content during the interview. It's just to wet the whistle, to get the attention, to generate the call and move forward.
Thank you.
So Eileen, we have a question on the chat.
Oh, okay.
From Dale. Sorry.
Could I please comment a bit on ATS?
Yes.
I love this question. So thank you so much for asking it. The reason why I love this is I want everyone to put ATS, applicant tracking system, out of their minds, completely out of their minds. And ATS is just a glorified CRM. It's my Rolodex. It's where I keep all my candidates. That's all it is. It just happens to be customized for the recruitment process. Okay, so it has a couple of special bells and whistles, so this way recruiters can operate. At the end of the day, there's still a person looking at it, evaluating it, and saying, I'm going to call the person or not. So just like, in social media and you say, ignore the algorithm, there's a person who is reading your information. It's the same type of situation. How to get through these ATS systems? Yeah, that's how I teach you how to develop the resume based on how recruiters search. So this way it's recruiter friendly. I'm not going to use ATS. It's recruiter friendly. Okay, because it grabs the recruiter's attention. It's giving them exactly the information they need in order to generate that call. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? It's Monday morning, everyone's quiet. Well, if there are no other questions, I thank you so much for inviting me to speak to your group. You can always check out my information. You can click on Scan Me. That will take you to my website as well as my personal information. And please connect with me on LinkedIn. This way it expands your network.
Thank you so much, Eileen.
You're very welcome. I'll
Thank
stop
you.
sharing.
One question, do you work basically with coaches, or you have a variety, any professional that comes to you? Is your specialty coaches?
I've worked with many coaches, many in your organization. This program actually has been working across all industries. It's been very interesting because I have high school students, so ages 16, I have college students, college grads, young professionals, as well as C-suite professionals. I was working last week with a VP of sales of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and he doesn't know how to market himself. So it's not only people who are new to the job market, but the program's been working across all industries. I have a fashion designer, a nurse, a coach, a business analyst, and engineer, and it's because I've reverse engineered the process. So I've reverse engineered the process based on how did the recruiter search, and then let's backtrack all of this, and this is what they need. So I'm acting almost like a translator for the recruiters and putting it in recruiter speak. That's why people are getting so many calls, because I understand this world as well as this world. Because that's why I say don't go to a resume writer, because they'll write a resume. It'll be very generic, I guarantee you. And they'll write the resume, but then they don't know how to take it out and shop it around. This is that 3-step process, because the goal here is to get a job. The goal here is not in resume writing. Okay, no one likes doing that. Okay, but the end goal is to get a job. The resume is just one tool in the toolbox to get you to where you want to be.
I found very interesting when you said, tell your story. The resume must tell your story. I'm very curious about that, and I think I'm going to submit my resume because I have this idea that resume it is what it is. You know, you put the date, the job, what you did, your achievement, that's it, right? It seems that where is the space to tell the story? You made me very curious about that.
Well, the one thing I will tell everyone, rule number one, do not lie on your resume. I had someone years ago watch me use a piece of software. And after 20 minutes, she says, oh, well, I know it. And I put it on my resume. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, you know, it's like you don't know how to drive a car until you actually are sitting in the car. And even those of us who know how to drive a car, you don't pay attention to the directions unless you're the one who's driving. So it's the same type of situation. You always want to tell the truth, but there are different ways to present the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in the presentation. Again, think of it as that term paper. Think of it as a legal case. A lawyer goes in and they're presenting their case and they're trying to convince you of something. It's the same type of situation. You're trying to convince someone, you're pitching for someone to pay you a lot of money to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you have to go back to those Shark Tank examples. They're pitching someone to give them a lot of money to do a job, to build a business. It's the same type of situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a way to present the information so the person can get that I'm the best person for that job.
That's right. Because, you know, when you apply to colleges, and we remember how difficult it was to get into colleges, they have hundreds and thousands of seats. Well, when you're applying for a job, there may be only one job available.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to get hundreds of resumes for that one position. So what are you going to do to stand out, to rise above, to become that candidate of choice?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I teach how to do. Mm-hmm. And based on how the recruiters are searching. Mm-hmm. Another question came in.
Yes.
I'm getting this question a lot. What is my opinion on using AI to assist you in writing your resume and cover letters? You know what? There's a place for AI. I definitely believe that. However, again, you still need to show it up, to do it based on how the recruiters are searching. The AI does not know how to do that. I've tested it out a couple of times. So it can act as an assistant, but not as the end all and be all. So I hope that answered that question. I know that's the hot topic, the ChatGPT nowadays. It'll help you. It's not coming up with a strategy. It might help you with a little bit of the writing, the wording, but you still have to have it set up properly based on how the recruiters search.
Yes, it's amazing. My daughter is in college and she was applying for something at the university, and the cover letter, she was like, I said, I'm going to put the information in, and she wrote her cover letter, and the chat sent her a cover letter, basically almost the same as what she had read.
Yeah, you have to be really careful of that. And the colleges, you know, they do their best. However, I will tell you that my own daughter was given the exact opposite advice that she should have been given at her college career services center, and it would have hurt the trajectory of her career. And it's just that all of a sudden, this is a specific situation that came home to roost. But this is the problem that I'm seeing globally. Okay, because I speak to a lot of colleges. I certainly speak to a lot of college students, okay, that they're struggling on the back end to find jobs. And again, this is, remember the day one of college where they said, look to your right, look to your left, one of you won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Nadine was there for me. Julie was not. Okay, but you have to realize the other person is your competition. And the college career services centers need to treat everyone equally. They have to. Okay, well, if that's the case, that means you're looking and sounding like every other person that's hitting the job market.
Mm.
But if you're in the open job market, you can look better, you can sound better, and you can be more effective. That's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. We are having a session on AI and coaching on Wednesday, and I'm very curious because, yes, it is a big topic, and the main question is, are they going to replace our human, way of being? And from most people I hear, there is always a space for that sensitivity, that the thinking that we have to connect, like the work you do, connecting different fields to be able to create something that is unique.
Look, things are changing rapidly. I mean, we're seeing that. But years ago, because now I'm going to start dating myself, and just so you know, the recruitment business that I own is a family business. So this information is not only coming from my 13 years as a recruiter, but it's coming from my father's 40 plus years as a recruiter. And if I go back about 20 years ago, when all of a sudden websites started coming up. So Indeed, Career Builder, ExecuNet, Ladders, all of these job sites. And they said, oh, this is going to take over the recruitment business. Well, you know what? The recruitment business is still here. Some of the sites are not, and that's a whole nother story. But that was artificial intelligence helping recruiters to do their job better. So I think that there's going to be a place for this. It's just going to take time to get there and to figure it out. But look, we can't stop it from happening. We just have to address it and deal with it and use it to our benefit.
I agree.
No, I don't see any other questions coming in. However, we can get everyone hired today. The company, I will tell you, the companies are hiring. I'm still recruiting full time. So that's what makes the information that I share so effective, because that I'm still on those front lines. The companies are hiring, but they're being more selective in their candidates. So even with all these layoffs that are happening now, this is just a market adjustment. I think a lot of companies overhired. They were trying to monopolize talent. And this is now a market adjustment of what's going on. So companies are still, and even the companies that did layoffs, they're still hiring too, because maybe those people they didn't have the right type of skill set for the positions that they need. So, but the problem is the companies are looking for that perfect candidate. On the flip side, my candidates are looking for the perfect job. And they're kind of setting up that work-life balance that they want. So I've got kind of a standoff between the two right now. And I think everyone just needs to be a little bit more flexible in terms of job searching. Because the companies now, some of them are asking people to come back to the office full time. Some are remote, some are hybrid. But if you are applying for one of those remote positions, you have to realize the candidate pool then is larger. Because they can pull someone from Iowa, they could pull someone from Oregon, they can pull someone from anywhere. So if that candidate pool is larger, you need to do even more to rise above to become that candidate of choice. And that's what people aren't realizing. So yeah, I know everyone wants remote. There's something missing in remote work, okay? That camaraderie in the office. There's something to be said with socialization in the office as well. So I think there's good things as well as bad things.
Yes, absolutely. And I see that as a coach. Clients
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Ilene, when you say that we shouldn't go through those websites that offer jobs like Indeed or LinkedIn, or how do you suggest that we, like, what are the channels that we need to look for when it comes to job searching?
There's a place for those sites. Okay. I'm not saying that. You have to remember, as a recruiter, in order for me to post a job on one of those sites, it costs me money every time. So I'm being very careful and selective as to what I'm doing. That's why I created this methodology of job searching, of where to find those hidden jobs and how to find them, and what companies are hiring specifically for coaches. Okay. Because sometimes that's difficult to find.
Yeah.
You know, I just want everyone to be careful. You know, I've had a couple of instances where someone was offered a job. They never had never spoke. Okay. The interview, quote unquote, was all via email. And then they were offering them a job to do data entry for $60,000 a year remote. And they were going to send them a check to buy equipment. And then they got all their personal information and broke into their account.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm purposely telling everyone these stories. That's why I'm saying I'm going to put in the chat my YouTube channel, okay, for everyone to check out. I have a couple of videos about that specifically. Because I'm telling the story, another young girl received the same type of situation. And she noticed the red flags. She asked me immediately. We looked up all the information, and it was another scammer. So we were able to protect her from that scam. Because you never give anyone your personal information, your social security number, anything, any bank account information, until you have a signed offer letter, you've spoken with the person, you've checked out the company, and then you can move forward. But they should not need that information until literally they're in the 11th hour of background checks.
Thank you.
So, yeah, watch those videos. In big bold letters, job scammers. I wasn't messing around. You know, also there'll be times where recruiters might be posting jobs, but they're not even real jobs. They're just kind of going through the collection process of resumes. So that's why, you know, I created this program not only to help job seekers, but also to protect them as to, you know, what's going on out there. And, you know, I do live Q&A sessions with my community, and everyone comes online and asks questions. And it's interesting just to share that information as to what's going on in the job market right now.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.